Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us here. For all of those who will just watch the video, I just want to say first that this session takes place in cooperation with the Creative Europe Media Desk Croatia. It is part of the European Showrunner think tank, an event series exploring a truly European version of showrunning initiated by the European Showrunner program at IFS, Internationale Filmschule Köln, which is funded by the Creative Europe Media Program of the European Union. And by now, I think you all know that these great three panelists are all showrunners, but let me just introduce them in a bit more detail to you. So first I have here Teodora Markova, an award-winning film and TV writer based in Sofia, with the most recent award coming from New Europe Market, NEM, last night for the best pre-development project, The Last Divorce of Communism. With her co-creator Stanislav Stokolovs, with whom she also co-created one of the very successful TV series, Soviet Genes, the Latvian Soviet Genes, which has been picked up for distribution by Beto Film and is, if I'm not wrong, sold to HBO Max with second season renewed. Is that a secret or not?
Not anymore.
We are developing the second season.
Okay, okay. Good luck.
Thanks.
Yes, I also forgot to mention some other successful TV series in Bulgaria, like Undercover and Father's Day. Well, you're going to hear much more about Teodora's experience later on. Then we have Teresa Fernandez Valdez, again a wildly successful writer-producer who founded the production company Bamboo Producciones in 2008 with Ramon Campos. They produce many internationally successful shows like Grand Hotel, The Cable Girls, Velvet, The Cocaine Coast. Yeah. Okay. I cannot read my handwriting, I'm sorry. It was the first Spanish company that worked with BBC Worldwide, Netflix, Movistar, and Apple. Teresa was listed as one of the most powerful showrunners of European and world television by The Hollywood Reporter, and named one of the most powerful women in Spain by Forbes.
Thank you. It's not true.
Since 2023, Teresa made a big change, starting again as an independent producer, which we'll hear all about. Then we have Marie Roussin, a French screenwriter-producer who created the showrun Mixed Voltaire High for Prime Video. As UCLA Extension alumni, she first worked as a staff writer on several successful French shows like Un Village Français, and in the US alongside Tom Fontana for Borgia on Canal+. Then as a head writer for the adaptation, which was a #1 hit for France's #1 broadcaster, TF1. Now she's created and showruns a project made in France, currently in post-production. And Marie, besides from the creation and production part of the job, was also the president of the French Screenwriters Guild from 2021 to 2023. As you can tell, many successes and experiences I cannot wait to dive into. But before we go into your experiences, just briefly about the situation in Croatia, since I'm based in Croatia. I feel like we had a few examples of almost showrunning, but that we don't exactly have the showrunning model in place. It's still predominantly the director's vision or the producers calling themselves showrunners, with a lot of hesitance to even try to imagine writers in the managerial role of a showrunner, which, I mean, I cannot speak on behalf of all Croatian screenwriters, but I believe we would like it to change. So let me ask you, what is the situation for showrunners in your countries? Teodora?
I don't think that there are showrunners in Bulgaria. I think that producers are very resistant to this idea. Basically, I was a head writer for 15 years, and I entered this screenwriting workshop program, Scriptist, it was 2016, and one of the tutors asked me, "What are you doing?" And I explained to him my job responsibilities, and he said, "But you're practically the showrunner." And this is the first time that I understood that my job is much more than writing. And then the battle started about having this position, not only as using you as a person to do the job, but giving you the responsibility and giving you the title. So little by little it starts to happen, but still, as I said, there is a great resistance in producers and probably fear that they might lose the control. And the other point is that they are not every writer can be a showrunner. So we should be aware of this, and also there are no training programs until recently. And this is what I think a very good initiative that we should talk more about this and train writers how to convey their vision, because this is the person who knows the best what is the heart of the show. And if producers trust writers, they can achieve much more success, as it is proven with our latest show, the Soviet Genes. We had a very, very good collaboration with the producer and Aya Berzina, and she understood very well what is the job of the showrunner.
Okay, so very nice experience with the producer.
Yes.
Are you, Teresa?
Okay, in Spain, I think we start having like a tradition of showrunners. In this case, I think it was because some writers moved to production. So it's not that the producer invite them to be a showrunner. It was more that some script writers with some character and some support decide to found their own companies, as our case. So they had in that moment the power to go and sell straight to the streamer or the broadcast the series that they're creating. And in that case, of course, they were the last voice at the end. So I think it happened naturally, and of course always we follow at the end the steps of US, because at the beginning it's a big influence how they work. And in Spain, I think, of course, we have also strong voices of directors, but we can work with these kind of profiles. Sometimes the streamer look for a director with a special point of view, and sometimes this is not the point, it's more the project that comes through showrunners, well known now. And of course, because we have some examples of successful showrunners, there's nothing there that blocked new generations to try and come and do it again.
Okay, so one way is to set up your own production company.
Yeah, I think so, because before in Spain it was more challenging because you had to finance your project before to produce, but now the streamers in Spain used to ask you for a cash flow, so at the end you are receiving money, depends of your necessities. So if this is not an issue, if you can have a good head of financial department or something in charge of it, is a question of organization. It's not a question of a big investment. No, not anymore.
Okay, thank you. And Marie, with the French author culture, how did you manage to become a showrunner?
So I think Teresa said it's becoming a tradition in Spain. I wouldn't say the same thing for France, but there are showrunners, but all of them have their own producing company. It's the same. There are no showrunner without their own production company. So the real showrunners in France, they either call themselves showrunners or they don't. They call themselves writer-producers, but they actually do the job. But they need to have a production company. But they only produce their own shows. I mean, they can produce their own shows. The ones that produce other writers' shows become more producers than showrunners. It's, I think, the difference.
Okay. I was going to ask, like, why do you think the broadcasters and the producers you work with decide to, work with this kind of model? What made them, like, realize, okay, this is a good idea?
In Spain, it was not so hard because at the end, the streamer and the broadcast understood that the most important thing is the idea, more than money. So at the end, if they are trusting in someone, in that idea, or if they are trusting how they can tell stories, they are trying to give them the support. So Netflix start hiring people with a profile of writing or writers more in order to help them to do by their own. So they start thinking, like the producers, it was more a business profile. So they try to avoid like these tags, Mm-hmm. So that's why I said like it was a natural way to go through that new model, but still there's producer working with writers because as Theodora said, not all the writers are able to do a show running, but also some of them don't like to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think there's no one model, there's different models working at the same time.
Yeah.
I think the key is consistency. Like the main goal of a showrunner is to be sure of the consistency of the show through from the writing until the very end of production. If producers believe the show will be better with a showrunner, they would be happy to implement the system as long as you don't take too much from them. It's mostly, I believe, like you were a showrunner even before you knew the word.
Of course.
If I understand well yourself.
And in Spain too. We didn't use that until now. Because it seems like there's this new credit that you identify your work with it. But the names are just names, are credits.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
It's the job, yeah,
of course.
not the title. That's true. But speaking of there's not one model that works for everyone. Like, can you maybe tell a little bit more about your specific models? Okay, so you have a co-creator with the producer, but you don't own your own production company, right?
In this case, not. We are co-creators together with Stanislavs, and we are co-showrunners. And the strangest thing was that, again, we didn't know this until the Berlinale application, and there was this margin showrunner, and we were asking ourselves, well, what should we write there? And we discussed it with the producer, and we wrote our names. The job was done, but we didn't know that we owned the credits. So afterwards, we started calling ourselves showrunners, not from the very beginning. I think that in our experience, the most important thing is trust, and to understand, probably it's not the American way of show running. You split the job between the showrunners and the producer, and you are in very close cooperation with them. And you split the responsibilities, and there is an enormous trust from the producer to us and vice versa. And yes, our experience was that the first thing is that you need to find this message or this word that holds the show together. And then when you pick up the creative leaders for each department, you need to be sure that everybody understands what is the style of the show till the very end, and till the packaging and the marketing and even the Facebook posts and so on. This is my experience with the Latvian show. I had another experience in Bulgaria where the producer had almost the same role, but he wasn't that involved in the artistic decisions. He decided that he wants only to deal with the financial part of the project. And of course, it's like a journey for everyone together to decide what you want to sacrifice because you need to be very aware of the budgetary restrictions. And I think this is the most important part of the showrunner, that we can help the producer to make the show better by tweaking some things in the script, in the production, and to relieve the budget from any burdens.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, Maria, you were going to say something?
No, I think it happens, I mean, it happens that they, when you're talking to the line producer, you realize they're very, like, they don't know how to announce to you that, well, that scene, we can't exactly shoot it the way you planned it. And it's like, okay, sometimes they think it's a big, big deal, and sometimes it's really not. And you realize they were thinking about ways to avoid that big thing that would be like a big problem for you, and sometimes it's like, oh no, it's not. It really doesn't matter that much, but this other thing matters a lot and a lot more, and sometimes so. It's just a better way. Like, you need to talk to everyone, and it's a better way to work, because it's not that people don't want to do a great thing, like they all want to do the best possible show. It's sometimes they just, you know, they're wrong because they didn't understand exactly what mattered and what did.
Yeah, I mean, I think you...
Yeah, I think there's something, sorry, I want to add something to this, because it's true, we are talking about showrunning and that's, but the thing here is, like, there's a tradition too, that the scripts and the producer and maybe the director work here, and then the production team work here. Seems like they are separate worlds. And it's very important to create some communication between all of them, because sometimes the writer can't imagine how hard it is to shoot this. And maybe it's a stupid thing, but it's not, I'm not talking about bombs, you know, it's not about action. Sometimes it's just, some writers are like trying to short or to cut a scene because it's just going to be just 1 second, and you say, no, I prefer to have more things to shoot in that space, because I can create a day just for that and working and shooting in that place. So don't be shy to write more in that place. So don't mean that because it's very little it's going to be easier. Sometimes it's harder to do it because you have only one sequence in that place to say one word. So we have to connect the experiences of all of them to let the script, the writers know how the production team works, and of course to let the production team know what is the most important thing in each script. So yeah, sometimes we miss some communication there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you also touched upon the question of why does the showrunner need to be a writer? You know, what's the benefit of a writer in that role,
And
which is exactly that. Yeah, so you know what's important and what's not, and yeah. But the collaboration, if it's a separate role with the producer, then yeah, of course, communication is very, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when it comes to your tasks and responsibilities as a showrunner, would you say communication is with all the departments? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
of course. You need to know how to be at the same time really tender, and at the same time like to put your word on the table. But back to your question, why does the writer need to be the showrunner? I don't think if you can showrun if you're not writing the script. You resolve problems all the time. Something happens on the set, you need to rewrite. Something happens with the lead actress. You need to spend 2 hours on the phone with her, and then to spend another 2 hours with the director to explain what you said to the actress in order for them not to be unprepared. So it's a lot of hours on the phone and then correcting things in the script. I remember I had a terrible experience with a Bulgarian TV series. We were shooting in New Bujano studios, and whenever there is a Bulgarian production there, if an American production comes, you're just kicked out of the sets because they pay like 100 times more. So we had this medieval TV series in Bulgaria, and there was this storyline which was happening in this village. And one of the crew members was having a smoke somewhere around the set, and he calls me and says, "The village is gone, the houses are not there." And we have like to shoot the day after tomorrow on this set. And what happens, of course, the writer needs to sit down to gather their team, and to rewrite the entire storyline. I am not saying that this is like something that usually happens in productions, but
it can happen.
But everything can happen. Like if it's
and about the weather, about someone that is sick suddenly, and you have only that day to shoot that scene because it's the day that the location is available. So you are all the time rewriting. And also, just not about the production, also about the series that you are getting, is you are watching probably the daily thing, the daily material, you know, and you can take care about. There's more emotion between these characters. This is very cool. That character is not giving me so much comedy. So you are trying to adapt also the roles to the actors that you have involved. So it's all the time you are reacting about what you're creating.
Yeah, I also think one of the major changes in Europe, I guess, in all countries, is that with a longer series, we tend to have multiple directors for the same show, even for one season. There are different directors. I don't know in other countries. In France, for miniseries, it used to be one director, and we are very attached to the author French film model with one director who is the key creative in the process. So it changed a lot, because with different directors, when it used to be only one directing and well, being the head of all the DA, that's why I believe the writer is in a better place to show run, because, well, he will also have to communicate with all the directors, and when you need to spend 2 hours with an actress, or you need to rewrite all the scenes for one day of shooting, it could also be different scenes in different episodes, shooting in the same day with different directors. So it's just the key person here would be the writer, the head writer. So
yes, sure. Yeah, in Croatia it's still very much one director for the TV series, but I completely agree with your statement. So, I mean, you touched upon, I guess, maybe, what were your biggest challenges for you in your show running roles?
I guess there is this very hard balance to find how to give the creative freedom for the director and to respect their space, and at the same time to watch the dailies, and if you see that something is going out of line, how to lead this conversation. In our case with Stanislavs, he is also a director, so he is launching the show and setting up the tonality, and then there is a second person with his own creative taste and understanding, and while watching the dailies, sometimes it would happen that the second director, also in other shows, that they are not the same personality, but they need to stick to the same style. So I think this is a kind of a challenge, how to make them trust you, because they are on the set, they carry this heavy luggage. They need to be respected by all the crew and all the cast. And when you have some problems to communicate, like saying this actor is going out of the role, and this is not how they should play the part in this particular episode, how to communicate this without hurting their feelings, because usually in Eastern Europe they come from film and they are like authors, and they feel that they need to have the full control, and this is a very unexpected experience for them. So there is a bit of a clash there that can happen.
Yes. I can imagine.
I agree with everything that Teodora said, but in my case, I think I'm focused more in other kind of. See, it's more about business. Is try to keep the IP with you. In my case, this is like the big goal, because at the end, yeah, you are leading a project, you are creating a series. Maybe is going to be very successful. Depends of that. Probably you're going to have more seasons, but at the end, the IP is for the broadcasting or the streamer in Spain.
Okay.
Well, same in France. It's a fight. I mean, it's not all of not for every show, but most of them.
Almost all.
Yes. So yes, that's one thing. But when I started as a head writer who wanted to become a showrunner,
Yeah.
I think my main challenge was my unexisting set skills, because I had almost never been on set, and well, that's a major
Of
issue.
course,
Because
of
that's
course.
okay. Yeah, you want to be a showrunner,
Because
but you
these
need
two bubbles that we create,
because they make it very separated, and they kept it separated for a reason. I mean, a bad reason, probably, but I mean, it's not about like being nice and
No, of
being
course.
mean. It's just it worked for a time the way they did it, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But so I figured the only way was to learn, and the only way to be able to learn those skills was to be close to the producers, because they have to let you in. So it was, the real challenge was, okay, work with a producer that understands the model, that is willing to having me on set, because it was true. I didn't know anything about the set, so that's the main thing. And then it was frustrating, because when I was a head writer, sometimes I heard like, oh, this scene, it's impossible. And it's like, okay, it's never impossible. It's a matter of how much does it cost to make it possible. So, and then it's a question of sacrifice, like what am I willing to let go to keep that in the show, or so you need to understand what they're saying. So you need producers with you on your side.
Yeah. Like you said, not letting the writers go on set. I mean, it's the way it has always been, you know. So they knew it's the way to do things. But now, I think it's one of the biggest differences between the US model of show running and the European, because in the US it's normal to get the writers on the set. So they're practically learning from the very first stage of their career how to get to that latest stage. And in Europe, yes, we lack the education, we lack the experience. And do you now, as showrunners, maybe try to, correct that by letting the writers in your writers' room who are maybe interested, like when it's their episode on set shooting, do you maybe let them on set?
Of course, I think the set is open for everyone.
Okay.
For everyone, but of course sometimes they have to write. So because it depends how far you are from the scripts. They have time and they can come, or maybe there's a special day where the shooting is really special and they want to come and investigate. And for sure, there's always someone in the readings. So there's things coming from the readings, and then they have the chance to go whenever they want. And sometimes now the director has to have a script writer there. Start happening these two.
I think it's great to invite like writers on set, but it should be more than that, like being invited on set, and there's nothing worse than being on set without a purpose, just because you're invited, because you're like, where
Always in
do
someone's
I
way.
not disturb that? So I think it's terrible. Like I was invited on set before. I never learned anything because I was just like trying not to disturb the production. So I think that the good way to go, if you can finance it, is, well, to have writers on set that are paid to be with maybe the script.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then, if not, it's something that the script writer have to try to provoke. Because sometimes you are very busy, like producer, or if you are taking, you're not thinking about the writers at that time. So, of course, this is also an invitation for all of the writers that want to be showrunners. They can ask for things that they feel that they need. Don't wait that someone is inviting to you, because sometimes we are busy. It's not that we don't want to invite you to come. It's more that I'm not taking care about how you're feeling. I'm solving problems. So it's an invitation to be brave.
So the writers should initiate it.
I think that the writers are reluctant to going on the set. We have a saying in Bulgaria that a writer on the set is like a woman on a pirate ship, because still in our country it's like if there are some problems in the show, the writer is guilty. If the audience doesn't like this actress or actor, the writer is guilty. If the show is successful, it's because of the producer and the director. So it's a very, like this job is not very, doesn't give you much pleasure and gratitude all the time, but I agree that the writers should be on the set, at least for the showrunner, for every new episode of a new director, you should be there to see how things are going. And yes, for me it was the same. I was avoiding the set for a very long time, but then I decided that if I want to be a showrunner and to see how things are happening, I should be there instead of staying only on the phone. Because what I've noticed during my experience in Bulgaria is that the actors would always call the writer and very rarely the director, because the writer is the person who knows all the fluctuations and the twists in the arc from the very beginning till the end. And they need this reassurance. They need to check with you if they are going the right way. And I think that it is important for writers to be from, of course, as Marie says, not all the time and not without a reason, because you feel that you are disturbing them and you don't know where to put yourself. But yes, on some specific moments, it's
But maybe
good.
communicate beforehand, like why and how you're going to be on the set. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because once I had this case that I decided, I had some free time and I decided to go on the set, and everybody was so stressed, like, what's the problem? What's happening? Why are you here?
It's a bad sign she's here. No, but what would you say is the most common misconception about show running?
I don't think that there is a conception in my country, so there is no misconception. Meaning, like, we are really in the Wild West, in the Wild East, and we need to start from somewhere. The word sounds exotic, so I really am not in the position to say how it's misinterpreted. It's like we need just to start explaining what it means.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like intimidating to them.
It's intimidating for the producers. They want to keep the creative control. I don't know why is this fight. I can't really understand it. Basically, maybe they don't trust the writers that they can.
The trust is a really
trust.
big
It's
element.
about trust.
I can't answer anything about that because I'm leading my own company for 16, 17 years, and I'm not. The thing is, you know what is your role. You're going to do it, and no matter about the title. In my case,
Yes.
if you're leading the content, the credit is, of course, is good to have, because at the end, if is a recognition and value in the international market, but in your own market, probably they know who you work and how you work. So I think it's more about to defend what do you think you have to lead and what you have to do, more than to fight for the title. I don't think there's a misunderstanding about the title. Everyone knows what is to be a showrunner, and then try to be, if you want.
Well, it's very nice that everyone in Spain knows what it is to be a showrunner, and I can imagine it's very hard to run your own company, but this, I guess, is one of the perks of having your own production company.
No, but the thing is, probably, of course, it's scary to feel that you're going to lead a company, but at the end, sometimes the people create companies just for a project. So to have a company then means to have a big structure. It's just to have a social name where we can create invoice and then we're going to get the money. I'm not talking about to have a big base. You can create a social brand just for one film. So you can do the same for a show. It's nothing really, I don't feel like it's something big, of course, because I had experience, but when I started like 17 years ago, my feeling was the same because I did it and I was very young. So I think maybe sometimes when you write, you don't know anything about business and you don't want to know. So probably it's nice to start asking how hard or easy is to do it, because I don't think is something that the people can't do. You know, in my family, nobody take care about films and TV. It was the first person. So I was the one. So I cannot say I came with a name, I came with money, I came with, no, I just try.
Yeah. You came with a will to learn and to
of
do.
course,
Yeah.
and with the trust
Yes.
that I can do it. So, and of course the situation was on my side at the end. I had a chance. I don't say it is easy, but you can, for sure. And regarding to the title and what the people, maybe someone is using showrunner in a wrong way, but they know that they are doing it.
Okay.
I don't think it's a misunderstanding.
It's intentional. It's a real crime.
Yeah.
Could be. What about you, Marie?
Well, I think if you're a showrunner, or want to be a showrunner, you need to be willing to understand where the money goes and where it goes and where it comes from and how to deal with money. And I think the biggest misconception is we think writers are just artists and producers take care about the money, and I think that's right. But I think as well as some producers also write, some writers can also produce, meaning take care about the money. So, and I think it's all about that, because if you need, apparently in Spain and in France, you kind of need to have a production company to be a showrunner. I wouldn't trust anyone telling me that he's a showrunner in France without a production company.
Of course.
I would say, oh, okay, that's what the producer tells you to make you feel good and make you do the job without paying you, basically. So, because I mean...
No, and I like to talk about this, like, not everyone that is using the showrunner is like some, you know, sometimes it's a part of the negotiation. Now, also, even with actors, they're asking to be part of the creation. And sometimes if you have a good and big name, sacrifice the title and say yes in order to have he or him, you know, her or him involved in the show. He or she, you know, it's like a way to conquer them, because they can see that the American actors are involved in the creation, so they want to start being too, and they said that at the end they're creating the character, also interpreting the character. So.
And they are part of the packaging in the very beginning. You can sell your show with the actors.
Course. So there's something that is alive, and we have to be open to react and to understand, this is a real showrunner or is just the price to that person in the crew?
Yeah, because it's not about the title, like we said, it's about the job. And
Is that-
actually, there's no real title showrunner in the contracts, right? I mean,
No.
it's a producing
Of
credit,
course,
right?
and in our credits in Spain, nobody signed like showrunner.
Yeah. It's
It's
a,
producer
it's a writer,
or writer,
producer,
yeah.
executive producer in the credit, yes.
Can I ask one question to Teresa?
Of
Why,
course.
why you said you settled your own production company and then you
Start again?
started
Okay.
again a different.
Yeah, no, because I'm going to tell you to the audience, is I founded like 16 years ago one brand that it was Bamboo Producciones, and it was, it's like grow very fast, and right now, it's a big brand, and I was missing to be again light and with less responsibilities and obligations, because at the end, when you grow very fast, you have like the volume of a big company on your back. So finally, we sold our company to Studio Canal in France. So 2 years ago, I had the chance to leave the company, and I left the company, and I took 1 year just to rest and think about what I want to do again. And now I'm starting again with a new brand, but with the idea to do different to create a different company. The other was more about volume and mainstream and to, as you know, so many hours of fiction. And right now I'm living like a second life, trying to do less volume, but being more inside the project, because at the end, when you are producing 5 shows at the same time, you are not part of them, you're just supervising, and I was missing the experience to be in the set, like you.
Can I ask also something?
My company now is Te Espero en Marte, something like I wait for you in Mars.
Oh, very nice.
Okay. So when you establish your production companies, you're basically, these companies work, you work there only as showrunners or also as producers?
Sorry?
You said that you have your own companies
Yeah.
as showrunners. Does it mean that the project is produced by your company, or it just serves as a showrunner's creative company, and you have a different entity or person who is
Like
the
you're a
producer?
co-producer.
No, I create my own company, and right now I'm developing new projects, 3 series and 2 films right now, for example, and I'm not the films. I think I can call me more producer than showrunner, because are the directors the one that are writing their own stories. So in the film side, I'm working more like producer, and in the series, I'm more inside the creation, the characters, the arc. So, but the company, in my case, is investing in development right now. So when I sell one show, series, or film, or whatever, I'm going to go to production, but probably I'm going to have the agreement with the broadcast, and they're going to start paying me.
Okay. So you're basically the producer also.
Yeah, I'm mixing the 2 roles.
Yes. Since it is an all-female panel, I have to ask the question that do you feel that the situation is different for female writers who want to transition into the showrunner role in Europe?
Yes, in Bulgaria it is more. I know men writers who have negotiated easier and better conditions than female writers.
Okay.
In my case, no.
Good for you.
It's true.
We are a
and in Bamboo
patriarchal society.
Producciones, we have big writers' room that I think in Bamboo, we had more female writers than male writers. If you check our credits, almost all are female.
This is the same in Bulgaria. We have more female writers. What I'm saying is that male writers can easily more
Money.
and not only money, the
The
creative
role, the
control, the responsibility
responsibility.
and the
No.
production credit.
Not in our case, no.
Yes, and in France?
There are a little bit more female writers than male writers in France, at least writing for TV. And there are as many, I would say, female showrunners or male showrunners. I think they are all powerful and strong women. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we can run out of time. No? Yes, okay. I was just going to say, what can we learn from comparing the situations in various parts of Europe? But I guess we can learn that it can be better.
Always. And worse.
And that it's possible. And trust is important. Will is important. Will to learn to do things. And yeah, I mean, but I would like to end it on the inspirational, uplifting note. So yes, we're going to get there.
Of course. Of course. It's nothing, as I said, like, we are alive. It's nothing that is like this. We are all the time in movement. And as much countries in Europe work in this way, it's more pressure in other countries to do the same.
Yes.
So it's just a question of time. It's just that.
I'm optimistic as well. Do you have any final remarks?
No, I'm optimistic.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for your contributions.